Hey everybody, welcome to the Paranormal Portal Podcast. Hope y'all are doing great. Thank you so much for all your love and support and continuing to tune in and check out these shows. And I've got an exceptional show lined up for you guys today. We are joined by Edward Monge, who is Triangle Media, and he's a filmmaker in the middle of production on a TV series called Unknown Encounters, where they cover things like UFOs, Bigfoot, alien abductions, NDEs, and more. And Edward is here with me to talk about his journey and, of course, coming face to face with all the strange phenomena. So let's get after it. Hey, Edward, thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me, though.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. I just really appreciate that we could make this work and have this discussion. I guess probably the most natural place to start is kind of my canned opener. So I apologize, but I always have to wonder, where did the journey start for each person? Because everybody's kind of got their origin stories of when they decided to start looking into the strange and unusual and the unknown. So where did your interest begin in this topics?
Oh, man, that's a great question. Well, like I was saying, I think we are all into this because of something that we experienced at some point in life. So, yeah, back in 1994, I went through something with, I would say, aliens. But I didn't know at the moment. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know nothing about it. It was just an accident, I would say.
Oof.
And since then, I've been investigating and trying to learn, trying to find out what they really are. I mean, from books, videos, talking to professionals, people into the paranormal, UFOs. And then when I moved to the States back in 1998, that's when my mind kind of opened up to understand that what I saw back in 1994 was something real. It was not a dream. It was nothing like, that I thought it was just a thought,
Right.
It was real. So that's how I got here.
Now, would you mind telling us what you experienced?
Of course. Well, I was a young man. I used to work in a manufacturer, making like shirts and stuff like that. I remember that morning, Brent, that I wasn't feeling good. I'm having like a bad headaches and chills and stuff. So I just told my boss, hey, Luis, I'm not feeling good. I need to go home. He's like, man, take your time. The night before, I just moved to a new house with one of my coworkers. Her name is Gina. Beautiful person. And I'm like, Gina, I need the keys. I'm going home. Not feeling good. Here, I'll see you later, baby. Great. So I took the bus, maybe like 20 minutes away from the place. Got there. It's maybe around 2 p.m. or so. Brent, I got nothing in my room. I haven't even bring furniture, nothing. The only thing that I have is a little bit of clothing in a plastic bag in the corner and a blanket. That's it. So I put the blanket on the floor, white sheet, took off my shoes, and I'm like, I'm just going to lay down. My body hurts. So I'm going to cool down on the floor, nice and cold. As soon as I lay down, Brent, my body just froze.
Ooh.
I froze like I became a stick. I couldn't move.
Uh-oh.
And then from nowhere, I heard like an explosion, like right next to me. There's a big window on my right side. And literally, I can see pieces of glass flying all over my room, but in a slow motion, which is weird. And I'm looking at everything just falling on top of my feet, and the whole room is full of pieces. And I'm like, what happened here? So now I'm trying to get up, but I cannot move. I can do nothing. I can barely breathe. At this point, I'm panicking. From nowhere, I started to see something coming through that window, but something like a liquid gel stuff. In fact, I'll tell you something else that I watched on TV a couple of days ago that it triggered me so bad. So this kind of liquid is not transparent. It's like a gray, bluish mixed color.
Okay.
And it smells so nasty. It smells like chemicals. It smells like a burning oil, tire, propane. I don't know. It's really hard to find the smell that I was smelling that afternoon. When this thing finally ended up getting into the room, now it's coming towards me. through the floor. But it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. And he's going on top of my legs, and he's taking this form, like a human shape kind of thing, but definitely not a human. This thing was huge. I mean, this thing was just sitting on top of me. Basically, I was thinking this thing's gonna get up, it's gonna hit the ceiling, maybe 7 to 9 feet tall. I mean, really, really tall, skinny,
Oh my God.
cold. I mean, this cold that it gets to your bones. It's it's hard to explain or describe what I experienced that day, Brent. I'm always having a difficult. Maybe if, English is my second language, so it's kind of hard for me to explain. But when this thing finally formed up, I'm looking at him and I'm like, I'm praying on my head. I'm like, Lord, please take this thing out of here. I thought it was like a demon or something, and
Yeah.
it's just looking at me down, moving the head like this, right to left, right to left. So I'm asking, what are you doing? Why are you hurting me? Like 1,000 questions. I don't know how, but in my own voice, I heard like an echo. This thing saying, I'm not here to hurt you. But I hear it so loud and clear. Excuse me. And I know that it's not me. It's not myself responding myself. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
coming. So he started to raise the right hand slowly, and he's looking at his hand, four fingers, four like long, long fingers, and this thing just went like boom, like a lightning speed, right inside my guts. If I wasn't pain because of the heavy thing on top of me, that was nothing versus this one. Now I'm feeling like he's literally chopping me off in pieces inside. That's what
Oh
I'm feeling.
wow.
I'm feeling this burning pain, this stabbing pain, and I'm feeling like passing out because of the pain. And I'm telling him, stop, please stop. And I see him just moving the hand like this. Now I can hear like an echo sound in the background, like a boom. When it's every boom that I heard, I started to see the room like disappearing. Now I see like a tunnel, like a light tunnel kind of thing. I just see like lights just passing by me and this creature. I don't see my ceiling. I don't see the floor. I don't see nothing. It's just like a tunnel. Finally, when I heard the last boom, this thing just collapsed in like a form of water. But this time he splashes all over me, all over the room. And it's like when you replay the movie in reverse. Now I can see like the jelly forming up in jelly, going back to the window, and I see the glasses in like a whoosh, and everything went back to what it was.
Wow.
And the next thing that I know, my door is right here on my left, just flew in pieces. And that was Gina. That boom, that was Gina trying to open the door. And she walked in crying and baby, what's going on, Edward? What's going on? Tell me. She was so scared. I thought somebody was killing me. I can barely talk at this point. I can
Right.
barely breathe. And I'm so weak and shaking and pain. And the funny thing is, I have this liquid all over my body.
Even
I'm
still.
stuck
Yeah.
wet with this thing. Not just my body, but the blanket, the floor. It's like it was physical, 100% physical. So she's like, "What happened to you, Ed? Tell me what happened." I'm like, "Gina, please get me out of here." She cannot pick me up. So she came from behind. She dragged me all the way to the kitchen, and I'm asking for water. So she gave me some water, and I'm trying to talk, but it's like my tongue is just like I can barely move. So I'm like, "Let me breathe." And I'm like, "Gina, please go in my room. Go around the house, check because somebody's there." She went outside. Nothing. She came back. There's nothing, Ed. But she's crying and crying like crazy. And I'm like, relax. I said, no, something happened to you, Ed. Look at you and like, what happened? Like, Gina, I don't know. I want to know. Now I'm panicking. Now I'm panicking to see her panicking. And it's around 4:30 or 5. This is the funny thing. Remember the time that I got there? 2 o'clock or so.
Right.
She got out of work at 4. It only take 20 minutes to the bus to get home. So there's like 2 hours missing time there. And that I realized later, years later. Um, so Gina is like, okay, come here. Let me help you. She's trying to change my shirt. When she lifts my shirt, now she can see the undershirt. It's a white collar shirt. And she sees blood.
Oh my God.
And she's like, oh my God. And she's covering her mouth. You're bleeding. And what do you mean? So she picked me up. Now I'm trying to sit. Oh my God. I feel the pain again. So bad. And then, yes, I got 2 holes, one on the right, one on the left, on my abdomen area. And I'm bleeding. Like, you see drops going out. Like,
oh no.
a lot of blood, actually. And then, man, I was really scared. At this point, I'm crying. I mean, literally. At this point, I'm crying. I'm like, Gina, we need to get out of here. No joke. We left the house. But before I end up the story, she was asking me, so what is this? What is this trail that you left behind? All this jelly stuff. It looked like, like the white on an egg when you break the egg.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. It's clear, but it's really sticky, but not so sticky at the same time, but it's definitely not water. And the whole room was full of that stuff.
Oh no.
Again, it's 1994. We didn't understand what was going on. She told me, let's go to a hospital. I said, no, I don't want to go to a hospital.
Wow.
I ended up calling my pastor. That was, I guess that was the best bet for me at that point. So I called my pastor and I told him what happened. And he's like, and this happened the next day. And he's like, no, I believe that's just a demon, trying to kill you. And I'm like, well, if that was a demon, then he had me right there.
Yeah.
He didn't kill me. No. So I called mom. Even though my relationship with mom wasn't that great, I called her and I'm like, Mom, something came to my room and this is what happened. Same thing. It's got to be a demon. And then I talked to my supervisor, a day later that we went to work, and Gina told the story as well with me, and everybody's just laughing at me.
Oh no. Wow.
I mean, they call me crazy, stupid. I mean, I left the job, to be honest. That's the bad that it went, that I left the job. And then I said to myself, you know what? I will never, ever tell nobody about this. So I didn't share it with nobody. So when I got to the States, I was just watching a TV show with my brother back in New Jersey. Somehow this alien face popped in the TV. And I panicked. And then I told my brother the first time after those years this happened. I seen this face, skinny, long arms, the clothing that they're, at least for what I kind of understood, it looked like a hoodie, but it's attached to the skin. It's nothing, it's really attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
The color was like a gray bluish, mixed green skin. But it's kind of beautiful at the same time. I mean, it's not like skin that you touch and it feels like touching an animal or like a dolphin. Some people say feeling an alien is like feeling the skin of a dolphin.
Oh, okay.
It feels more human than anything.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
It's soft, but it's cold. That's the thing, though. I mean, it's cold it's a cold thing that you cannot compare with the eyes, not even.
Right.
You feel the coldness even before you touch the skin. I don't know how to put it in words, but
sure, I can understand that. Sure, just like something very hot, you feel it approaching your skin before it touches. Yeah,
right.
That makes perfect sense.
But I mean, it's soft. It's beautiful. The feeling is just it's beautiful. It's like feeling a baby skin, kind of. And the connection that I made with this being, it really got me thinking, what was it? Was it evil? Was it good? After that, I'm dreaming a lot of stuff. But these kind of dreams that I know that it's not just a regular dream,
Right.
I see myself going to places different planets. But again, Brent, I didn't want to share none of this with nobody.
Sure. Yeah. Understandably.
And so now, after many years, then, like I was telling you earlier, I became a soldier. I served in the military here in the States. I get to hear so many stories from soldiers and their, families. I mean, I spent many months in Afghanistan. We spent many days up in the mountains pulling our missions. So there's a lot of time for us to share, a lot of time to talk about things that nobody really talks. And the ones who talks, about it, that, sadly, many of them even die. And those stories never get to be heard by nobody.
Yeah.
I believe that that's where the idea of non encounters became. I'm like, one day, I'm gonna be a filmmaker.
Right.
I always like camera since I was a kid. I used to play with the camera, I'm the director, blah blah.
Sure.
So I went through a lot of stuff after the military, and then one of the things that they offer me is like, once you get to pass this program, I went to a PTSD program because my PTSD was terrible.
I'll bet. Yeah.
Almost took my life twice. I ended up in a hospital for months, a place that you can't get out. Put it like that.
Sure.
Because they have to watch you. They have to teach you how to become a civilian again, face the world. At the end of the program, this doctor approached me. He's like, "You're almost ready to go home, Ed. What are you gonna do?" And I'm like, "I'm not sure." And he's like, "I'll tell you what, though. I'll be back in 2 hours. Give me an idea, just an idea. What do you want to do?" And then I remember the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't even took 2 hours. I went to knock his door, and I'm like, "Man, I know what I want to be a film director." And he laughed, but in a good way. And he's like, "I knew it. Somehow I knew it. You're an artist. And I believe that you can make it. I know you can make it." So yeah, I got out of the military. Thank God my wife was there the whole time. This woman being my support,
Sure.
Even in my dark days, man, I almost lost my life quite a few times, including a malfunction parachute incident that I almost died. I mean, I broke my body.
Oh man.
I went in my ride yesterday again. They're checking my back because it's all messed up. I went through multiple surgeries. A major, what do you call that? I forgot the word. I'll give it to you later.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been through a lot of stuff, but at the same time, I understood that sometimes you have to go through things so you can build not only experiences, but maybe something that you can help others.
Right.
So when I was school, I'm like, okay, cool. It was really tough. I went to New York Film Academy in Lower Manhattan, graduated, finished everything. It was, oh my God, it was really tough. I was one of the oldest people, and you see 15-year-old kids, 10-year-old kids, dancing and trying to be actors and singers. And I'm like, man, I'm like 40 plus and I'm here. It was weird. But thankfully, I get to meet a lot of people, including celebrities, Hollywood people and Universal Studios. They were my teachers.
Wow.
So I really enjoyed the ride of what I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I finish up, and now I'm like, well, right before we finished, they asked if we wanted to do a film, and I'm like, of course. In fact, it was it's a mandatory thing to do.
Okay.
But they want us to do something based on our lives. And then, wow, that's a different story. Believe. I don't know if you ever watched it, Believe, my film.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah. Yep.
So that's how Believe became. I ended up putting Believe together. And then now I'm producing this one, Unknown Encounters, which is, like you said in the beginning, based on true stories from true people. people encounter, from UFOs, aliens, NDEs, Bigfoot, because I believe, Brad, that we have to tell the stories. There's people out there who wanted to say something, but they feel forced to hold up like I was holding it for so many years.
Yeah.
People need to know that they're not alone. And that's my whole approach with this. It's not about fame. It's not about money. In fact, I'm broke. I mean, I just put a campaign trying to raise some money so I can continue with the project.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I noticed, it takes a lot of money to produce something, and not just something regularly, something regular. If you're gonna produce something, because that's how I do things. I'm the kind of person. If you're gonna get it right.
Yeah.
If not, don't do it. That's just me.
No, I think it's incredibly noble, because you're right. There's, and I think about that all the time. How many people have experiences that have never had the opportunity or felt that it was okay to share with? And so, what you're doing is incredibly important, because, in all of this stuff, we just don't know much of anything, but all we have are the anecdotal experiences of people in most cases, and we can at least get an idea of the phenomena just by hearing what people experienced, what they saw. So, I mean, it's something, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're tiny. I mean, and the universe is so big.
Right.
So many secrets out there. I mean, and you're still wondering here, what's coming next?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, whatever it is, man, I guess we have to try to help each other. Life is so short, Brand. It's really short. And this shouldn't be a place to compete or hate each other. We should be helping each other.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about in general, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So to me, doing this is like a therapy, even to myself, including myself. Why? Because I'm sitting just like right now with you, sharing story. I love to sit in somebody's porch and laugh and even cry if I have to with that person, because I know that they went through something.
Right.
And they feel relieved. They feel like their mission has been accomplished. And this is my mission. This is what I feel like I've been called for, to put these stories out here, and I'm gonna keep on going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's wonderful. You just not too long ago interviewed a friend who's also been on the show. He was on the portal, Mr. Nate Rudd, and it documented his experience with him, and what a great and incredible experience that was. However horrifying I think it was as well. But now I have to ask you, as you're doing this and as you're talking to people, hearing their stories, and how has it, I don't know if this is a quantifiable question, but how has it changed your idea of this strangeness that's going on, or how has that helped it to evolve, or how has it changed your perceptions?
I think it's actually helping in a way that I'm growing, because I believe that we have to open our minds for everything. Once you start opening your mind, you can see, smell, feel, and many other things in a different level. Now I understand that we're not alone. I mean, it's funny that not long ago I was watching TV and they put this picture of, I don't know which machine took a picture of Earth from Mars. One of those rovers.
Sure.
I'm looking at the sky, that little dot. And I'm like, these are the things that have changed my mind and my life in a positive way, to understand how tiny we are. When these people go through what they go, and they get to see what they see every time. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
I don't know what happened here. I went off the screen for a second.
Oh, that's okay. We're still recording. I can still see you.
Okay, cool. There you go. And then it kind of puts me to think that it's changing me, it's changing everybody else in a positive way. But that's if we are willing to allow that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Ron Moorhead says, you have to be open to things like this to in order for these beings or these creatures, you call it however you want to call them, to open up your mind. I've seen people, like I was saying earlier, from crying to laugh, because now they feel that relief. So it changes me. It changes me to, and it feels good when you're like sharing, not just sharing a story, but sharing your testimony. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. Good point.
So when Nate told me his story, I mean, he cried at the end.
Yeah.
He cried. And I was feeling so good inside, not because of his tears, but because I'm like, maybe it means something to give the chance to people
Right.
to their stories. Because he approached me, he hugged me, and like, thanks, Ed. It means a lot to me, especially face to face. It's a beautiful thing. So that's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. Leave a mark in somebody's life in a positive way with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really powerful testament to our current age and our current ability to communicate, because, and I'm sure it goes along with with what you're saying, but I can't tell you how many people I've interviewed that after the interview, they're like, oh my God, it feels like I just put down a bunch of bricks. Like they'd been carrying these stories and these testimonies for decades in many cases and never had a place to put it. And how do you process the quote unquote impossible? And I realize it's not actually impossible, but in our Western thinking, this stuff can't exist because it defies everything we understand or we believe we understand. But these people are left in a sense of isolation, and that's the private hell that they live with. Is like, how do you get back to normal after you've seen, in your case, you've seen and experienced something that just defies understanding. How, and when you did speak of it, people did what they always do in many cases, and that is they don't know how to accept it, so all they do is just so stupid, or make jokes or whatever to defend their belief and their paradigm. And so it's wonderful to have the opportunity to give people a place, with compassion and understanding, and just hear the story, and then to have an audience that is eager and interested, and also listen compassionately and take value from what these people share. So it's just such a powerful thing nowadays. Would you agree?
Totally. Like I was saying, man, it's all about connecting with each other. I believe that we all need each other at some point. I mean, you without me without you can go nowhere.
Right.
A lot of people, unfortunately, they don't see it that way. And on the paranormal, I would say the same thing. I mean, you get to experience something. How can you let that pain go out? How can you let those emotions out of your body, your mind, your spirit, if you're not talking?
Right.
I'm saying this by experience. When I went through the PTSD program, man, there's things you don't want to talk about. Things you did, things you saw, things you heard, many bad things. And you're holding these things with you, you're carrying these things with you, not because you want to. I guess let's talk about me, it's because I was protecting myself. And somehow I was protecting those individuals, including the dead, you know. But it took me years to understand that there's nothing I can do about it. Now it's about me. It has to be about me now in order for me to be free. And how can I do that? By exposing, by talking, by releasing what I have holding my chest. So it's the same thing here. It applies to the same thing. I mean, these people, some of them are desperate. They need somebody. They need to trust somebody. You don't just go and tell your story just to anybody, I bet. But you will definitely do it with someone who already been through this somehow. Someone that is connected to to the topic. Why? Because you know that this person is going to understand and feel you. So that's the most beautiful thing about this. We're all connected. I mean, there's nothing like, it's not an accident, call it like that, that everybody is listening to the show today. If they're listening, if they're watching, there's a reason for it. And I mean, if they can get something positive out of this, then man, that's amazing. That's the mission is accomplished to me and for you. You know what I mean? That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And you know, it's, I think probably everybody has a story of, and it doesn't always have to be a real Hollywood moment, but just where things kind of went sideways. And, you know, oftentimes we just push it to the back of our mind and get back to, you know, doing whatever it is we do. But I think, you know, most people can relate to a lot of this stuff if they're being honest with themselves and with their own personal experiences. But yeah, I think that this is incredibly powerful. So in your journey, as you're doing these interviews and meeting with people, do you have a favorite topic? Do you have one topic that you enjoy over others, or are they all kind of equal in your mind?
I would say I enjoyed it everything, but yes, I would also say that there's one that I really, really follow the most, and that's the things related to UFOs and aliens.
Yeah.
I love Bigfoot stuff. I haven't get any experience with these creatures. Maybe that's why, I don't know. And I like everything because to me, in my belief, these things are all connected.
Yes.
These things are all spiritual, but that's just to me. But why the UFOs? Why the aliens? Because again, I experienced something with them. You know,
Yeah.
I feel connected. I guess.
Well, sure. I mean, yeah, it's very up close and personal. Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. And I was going to ask you, have you noticed sometimes the similarity between these things? Because your experience, for instance, it could have very easily, and many people that you did share it with thought that it was a spiritual thing, a spiritual battle. And maybe in some odd way it was, but you were able to finally realize that no, it wasn't just you know, a spiritual thing. It was very physical, and it obviously was interacting with your environment and with your body to an incredible degree. So it was also physical, but there does seem to be a bleed through of this phenomena that sometimes UFO alien encounters can be very similar to hauntings and poltergeist activity, which can be very similar to cryptids and, you know, the strangeness that surrounds them. Have you noticed that as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. Though I'm the kind of guy who believes. Look, I believe in the Bible. Not everything.
Sure.
Most part, I believe a lot of stuff. Why? Because I've been doing my own research, my own studies. Even though I never make this public, I do my own researches. Yes, I do.
Sure.
And then, I mean, if we go back to the past, we have to remember that many of these creatures, fallen angels, they got kicked out of a beautiful place. They got kicked out from home, and they were sent to the darkness of space. Luckily or unluckily, I don't know, some of them land right here where we are today. And they own this world for thousands and thousands of years, and many other worlds around. So if you think about this, what happened to the woman back in the day, I mean, even the Bible talks about it. They sleep with angels. I mean,
Sure.
they have these Nephilims, you know, as a babies. But the Bible also says that they had sex with animals. It was not only about humans, even animals. But the Bible doesn't say what came out of those things. There's
Right.
nothing about that. But I mean, by nature, something has to come out of that thing. Something has to be around. Even though there was a flood, you know, to destroy humanity and, well, not really humanity. I don't think God went after humans. He went after these creatures because they took over the world. They were killing them. They were eating them. They were abusing the humans already in a bad way. So I believe that somehow some of them might survive. But once again, let's take it back all the way to the beginning, where they came from. What what were these things? Nothing but spiritual.
Right.
I heard some people get hurt when you say, "Oh, Bigfoot is not an animal. It's not blood. It's not flesh." I mean, they shouldn't be hurt. Why? Because even us, we're still spiritual.
Sure.
We die, we continue. I don't think everything ends here. You know what I mean? But I mean, if you think about it, these creatures are nothing but spiritual. Because just tell me, how come that we cannot capture one? Brent, we're still finding bones and tracks of dinosaurs,
Mm-hmm.
millions and millions of years. Imagine. But we cannot capture one teeth,
Yeah.
one bone of a Bigfoot. So
Sure.
it really make me think that these things are nothing but something super, super extraordinary, something different that we cannot even. Our minds are so tiny to believe and see the reality of these creatures because they're really, really special.
Yeah.
They're so powerful. They know what they're doing. They know how to live in this world. They know how. And I'm not saying a monkey hitting in the trees. No, it's a lot more than that. A
Right.
lot.
You know, I have to say about like Bigfoot and stuff. I do think it's a obviously I believe very much that it's a real phenomenon. People are really experiencing something. But one of the things that's really occurred to me is that this is probably the most successful biological entity on the face of the planet, because they can be in deserts, they can be in mountains, they can be in swamps, they can be in forests, they can be in any kind of ecosystem around the world, and they not
Yeah.
only survive but they seem to be thriving. And I've shared that idea with other people, and I've gotten, well, there's us too, and it's like, yeah, but the difference is we can create our comfort anywhere, but these things are existing in the elements and doing just fine. Whereas when we do that, we get like, no offense to Les Stroud, I love his show, but Survivor Man. He goes out for a week, and by the time he's come back, he's like 30 pounds lighter, and he's been eating nuts and roots as best he can, but he's not thriving. He's surviving. But
Yeah.
these things, this is where they live, and so they're incredibly impressive.
Well, and that's because we are limited.
Sure.
Remember, we're just humans, and we don't know, again, what these things are. Do they have abilities that we don't? Can they do things that we don't do? It's very possible.
Sure.
Very, very possible.
Yeah.
Can they live in, caves? Can they live inside mountains or even inside the trees, like some Native Americans even say many times? I heard that. I'm pretty sure you did as well.
Yeah.
Maybe. We don't know. I mean, there's nothing by science that can say today, no, it's not possible. In fact, they say it's possible. Why? Because at this point, nobody has a piece of it. We cannot study it the way we should. And just because of the footprints being cast, it doesn't mean that it is a creature, it's an animal. I seen tracks myself. Don't get me wrong. I saw them myself, like 4 of them back in Ohio. I went to do an expedition there a few years back. And listen, man, I was really skeptical. These guys called me, hey, Ed, you have to come over. This place is full of Bigfoots. So I went there. And I'm like, okay, where are they? So I'm looking through binocular. I don't see nothing. And this guy's like, looking behind those trees. Okay, let me see. I see something, but I cannot say that it was a Bigfoot. So I walked all the way there. There were tracks. And I was like mind blowing. I'm like, man, this thing is real. That was the first time in my life that I say this thing is really real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can definitely see the definition of the toes. I mean, it's so real, right there. We didn't cast it because we didn't bring any materials, but I'm like, wow. Yeah. And he was saying this thing is about 8 feet tall. Okay. So if you think about this, man, how gigantic these things are.
No. Yeah.
God,
How small are we? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's amazing the body of evidence that has been collected in terms of Bigfoot and the amount of people researching it. And unfortunately, it's one of those topics, much like most of this. It's not, none of it is really being actively addressed by scientists, at least that we know of. And who knows what secret things are going on behind closed doors and in our governments and such. But I think it's going to be people that are out there, like people in their garage, and in their, taking their weekends and hitting the forest and stuff, that are probably eventually going to bring some substantive, and irrefutable proof to the table. But unfortunately, it's very bizarre. But the sciences not only don't pay attention to it, they actively ignore it, and I find that absolutely shocking.
Yes. It really is. I just wish that, people get to bring their evidences out. I still don't understand why even the government. Look, I went through the FBI files the other day. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I actually downloaded some stuff. Type in, and I'm like, I want to see if the FBI has something related to Bigfoot. And yes, they do. The FBI. I'm like, wow. Unclassified. You can type it up. You will find them as well. There's a lot of files, the people, reports, and all that through the FBI, CIA, same thing.
Yeah.
So we already know that even the government knows about these things.
Sure.
Why do they keep on holding it up? That's the part that I don't get it. Look, I work for the government as a soldier, as a deputy sheriff. I heard stories when I'm inside, but they wouldn't really talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to share nothing about it. So it makes me wonder, why not?
Yeah.
It's just weird.
It is.
And maybe the people who study them, they go in the woods, they found some stuff, they look right and left, put them in their pockets and walk away. They don't want to share it. Why is that?
Well, yeah, and I appreciate exactly what you're saying, and I think you're right. I think that the more of that stuff that came forward tends to, at least offer the opportunity to teach us something new. But I will say that, unfortunately, there's a lot of infighting in these communities. In like the Bigfoot world, there's these cliques, there's these groups, and they are just vicious to each other. And it's like, well, aren't we all after the same thing here? But it's hard to bring reason in it. And maybe it's egos, maybe it's any number of things. Maybe it's personal on a level that we don't know about, but it can get really vicious,
Yeah.
Which
I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame that is that way, though.
It really is. It really is. And hopefully that wave is changing. I don't see as much of that as I used to. And maybe it's because I'm paying less attention than I used to, but I always have hope that, people will come together and try to help each other out and, lift each other up rather than putting each other down. Because, I think the pursuit of all of this stuff is magnificent, not only in understanding reality, like we were talking about before the show, but also I think all of this stuff lends itself to possibly teaching us things about our reality that we didn't know, and maybe will help with scientific advancement, with any kind of technological developments that could result from understanding the better relationship or mechanics, maybe is a better word, of our reality. And I think we stand to benefit from all of this. And maybe I've said this a few times on the show, but I think maybe some of this stuff is what Tesla was talking about, that when we research the non-physical, we'll learn more, in a decade than we've learned in all recorded history. And maybe this is the non-physical. Maybe this stuff that doesn't quite exist here, maybe permanently, or maybe it's just out of phase with us or dimensionally somehow removed. But what can it teach us about the dynamics of reality? So I don't mean to get on a soapbox, but that really excites me, the idea that we stand to learn so much from this. It's not just throwaway silly campfire stories. These are glimpses. These are breadcrumbs, and if we follow them, it may bring us to some profound understanding.
Definitely, no. I think that we are in the right path. We just have to keep on going and going, And one thing that I notice, we as humans, we have to be humble.
Yeah.
We have humble. We have to be humble not only with these creatures, but in the spiritual world. Period.
Yeah.
There's no other way you're gonna break that barrier if you're gonna be trying to, like you were saying earlier, being having this ego on you. I
Yeah.
want to be the one. I'm gonna be the main dude.
Yeah.
You have to be allowing yourself to them so they can see through your soul how humble you are, how much you want to help other people. So
Right.
again, it's this is like an army, man. If we're not wearing the same uniform, we're not gonna go anywhere.
Good point. I like
Yeah.
that analogy. That's brilliant. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Edward, could you take a minute or so, however long you need? But first of all, how can people check out the Unknown Encounters videos, or where are they available, and how can they follow you to stay in touch with what you're doing?
Well, they can find us now on trianglemultimedia.us. Our website is in construction right now.
Okay.
Other than that, you guys can find Triangle Multimedia on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. It's always Triangle Multimedia. Um, you guys will be able to see the trailer that we have so far, along with the campaign that we're raising. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about
Oh,
that.
absolutely. Yeah. Plug anything you want to, brother. The stage is yours.
All right, man. So, like I was saying earlier, this is a campaign that I'm raising, me and my producer, so we can hurry up and get this done, because filming is not cheap, not in this level. I mean, I don't want to be the one guy behind somebody chasing this person through the woods. No, we got enough of that. I want to make something really, really different, something fresh, something that is gonna give you hope at the end. That's why I'm very picky with the stories.
Mm-hmm.
I want stories that are coming in through, not only in through a channel, but in through our souls. That's something that you're gonna learn from them and keep it. Use it as a tool for you to move on in life. These are the stories that I'm gonna bring, and I'm bringing my best. I mean, I'm talking about equipment. I'm talking about my team. Everybody's a professional. So yeah, that's the way you guys can keep in touch with me. If not, just find me on Facebook as Edward Monge as well.
Yeah.
I'm a weapon guy.
You're all over the place. Now, are you accepting submissions for stories as well?
Yes, definitely though. I'm always looking for good stories.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the stories need to be told. So I'm willing to listen to you. I'm willing to spend the time and go through things, and hopefully, because the decision is not, I'm not the one just making the decisions, what story goes and what not. I got two other people. I got the James Bros. I got Justina Orlowski, which is a great, great person. She been my right hand since day one with this project. So if they're happy and they like the story as well as me, then yeah, we'll definitely pick it and put it on the film.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, send me an email through trianglemultimedia@gmail.com. Send your stories and we'll be reading.
Very cool. Well, Edward, it's been an absolute pleasure, brother. I appreciate you making the time to come on and talk about what you're doing and your own experiences as well. I really applaud your efforts, and I wish you all the success in the world, just in your vision. Not meaning cash, and I mean that's fine too, but I just want your vision to grow because I really admire what you're doing. I also admire the quality and the care and the love that you guys are putting into these things. I've seen your trailers and I've seen your work, and it's incredibly top notch. It's just so well done. So my hat's off to you, brother.
I appreciate you, man. That's the idea. We want to make it to Netflix or TV.
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh.
So, ladies and gentlemen, definitely get involved and follow Ed and help to support what he's doing. And if you've got a story, send it to him after you, of course, send it to me so that I can have you in the show. We'll work together, Ed.
Brent, we need to keep in touch, brother, so we can talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to stay in touch, and I'd love to have you back. If you want to come on and discuss some more stuff, we certainly can do that, brother. That'd be great.
Yeah, brother. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to everybody as well.
Absolutely. That's perfect. And let me stop this one.